was a full calendar of debate in the Senate this week, and yet another round of the majority party failing to understand what Iowans actually need. Instead of accepting our invitation and working to save good Iowa jobs and standing with workers in Amana, the majority party spent the week playing petty politics on the floor and pushing a bill to abdicate their own responsibilities. Iowans aren't interested in elected officials who pass the buck. Iowans aren't interested in more cuts to public schools that leave our kids behind. Iowans are not interested in reinforcing the Republican privatized Medicaid disaster. Iowans want lower costs and policies that actually matter in their day-to-day lives. We all deserve better. Before I turn it over to Leader Meyer, I also just want to note that Senator Tom Townsend is here today to help answer questions on Amana.
Thank you, Leader Weiner. Similar to what's happening in the Senate and the Iowa House Republicans are focused on things that don't matter to Iowans. Iowans are rightly concerned about jobs in the state, and we saw that come to fruition last week when Whirlpool announced the layoff of 341 hardworking Iowans that are working in the Amana factory. And unfortunately, they have been incentivized to do that because last year the Republicans passed a bill that said that they get a corporate tax cut even if they send these jobs overseas. It's one thing, unfortunately, to lose jobs in the state. It's quite another thing when you incentivize to do it. And when I say that is that, you know, they cut unemployment from 26 to 16 weeks, and then with the money saved on premiums, gave it back in the form of a corporate tax cut with no strings attached. We tried last year to stop that. We tried to hold them accountable, and we tried to, through legislation and amendments, basically say that if you send jobs overseas, you will not get this tax cut. The Iowa House Republicans, every single one of them, voted against it. So, moving forward, we will be trying to hold them accountable again and giving them another opportunity, this time in the form of clawing back the tax cut from Whirlpool and other corporations that send jobs overseas. We are going to hold people accountable. And my guy that's going to be doing that, I'm going to hand it over to him, Jeff Cooley.
Thank you, Leader Meyer. Jeff Cooling, House District 77. Good morning, and thank you all for being here. Today, Senate Democrats and Iowa House Democrats are calling on Whirlpool Corporation to reconsider the layoffs planned at the Amana facility this March. These are not just numbers on the spreadsheets. These are hundreds of hardworking Iowans, including parents, neighbors, veterans, longtime members of the Amana community who are now facing uncertainty on how they will support their families. Just last year, Governor Reynolds and the legislative Republicans approved tax breaks for corporations that ship jobs overseas, and Iowa is now facing massive layoffs that are hurting workers, families, and the state's economy. This should concern every single one of us. Working Iowans are the backbone of our economy. They show up every day. They build the quality products that we rely on that help keep communities like Amana strong. When layoffs hit, it's not just jobs that disappear. It's stability. It's the ability to pay a mortgage. It's whether a family can afford groceries, childcare, or college tuition. Whether a small town or Main Street can survive. If we truly want a strong Iowa economy, we have to stand up for workers who power it every day. We are urging Whirlpool leadership to reconsider the layoffs and prioritize continued investment in Iowa communities. Corporations that have benefited from Iowa workers and Iowa taxpayers have a responsibility to the communities that they've helped succeed. Iowa Democrats will continue to fight for policies that protect jobs, strengthen manufacturing, and put working Iowans first. Last year we did run an amendment to claw back those tax cuts to corporations that move jobs overseas. Going forward, we will find opportunities for Republicans to do the right thing and to not give taxpayer money to any corporation that sends our jobs overseas. This time, I'll turn it back over to Leader Meyer.
Thank you, and you want to introduce Tom, or?
I briefly introduce Tom. So Senator Townsend is a longtime IBEW member and leader, and has been really instrumental in helping us get this letter drafted and out to Amana, calling on them to reconsider these layoffs.
Thanks, Janice. Senator Tom Townsend, Senate District 36 from Dubuque. I'd just like to say that this is just another example of how corporations take these tax incentives, corporate greed, they put money over people all the time. And as Representative Cooling said, this is such a detrimental thing to these communities. It's loss of jobs, but it's also loss of people's, people are desperately struggling to make ends meet as it is. And these are good paying jobs that they've chosen to take our tax incentives and then invest in Mexico and move all these jobs to Mexico. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer any questions, but for the most part, I'm just appalled by Whirlpool's decision, and I'll stand with my brothers and sisters and hope we can get these jobs to stay in the state. Thank you.
How does asking this company to reconsider do anything?
I don't know that it really does anything except give them the opportunity to maybe reconsider, shed some light on what's really going on. As I said, they've gotten millions of dollars in tax incentives. Maybe let them know going forward that's not going to be acceptable. And I was strongly opposed to the cuts to the unemployment insurance premiums that we did last year, because we've cut benefits and then we're raving about how much this fund has gone up at a time when the economy's at its peak. If our economy, now our GDP is pretty bad, close to last in the country. If that continues and people continue to get laid off, we're going to run out of unemployment money at some point because we cut that. And again, what's the answer going to be then? Well, let's cut benefits to more workers. It's everything that seems to be happening in this state comes on the back of the workers, and we need to stop that. And so I'm just trying to call them out and bring attention to the fact that what they're doing is wrong.
You mentioned giving Republicans the chance to work on these issues. What are you looking at in terms of bringing action this year?
We'll have amendments that give them an opportunity to do the right thing. And I will mention that Jeff is the ranking member of the Labor Committee, so he will be the point person on this. And the point I'm trying to make is, now it's urgent. We need to, number one, restore the extra 10 weeks, because Iowa's economy is not in great shape. We're about to enter a recession if we're not already in one. But also give them the opportunity to do the right thing and claw back this corporate tax cut from Whirlpool and anyone else, any other corporation, Case New Holland in Burlington, John Deere, anybody that ships jobs overseas should not be getting that corporate tax cut that they handed out last year. And we will have legislation that we will attach as amendments to allow the Republicans to do the right thing.
Wouldn't something like the Whirlpool layoffs, wouldn't that qualify for the old 39-week period?
Well,
Or,
go ahead.
I think the 39-week was if a plant actually closed.
oh, okay.
We tried very hard back when the meatpacking plant closed in Perry a couple of years ago. We tried very hard to get our Republican colleagues to do a leadership bill at that point to restore the 39 weeks for those workers.
Any other questions? Janice and I will take questions for now.
You've had the opportunity recently on the floor to talk about the school funding levels. I'm just curious if there's anything else, any points you want to highlight in that debate as far as like what 2% will mean for schools in your districts or that you've heard about around the state?
I'm talking in the House. So in the House, obviously we feel as Iowa House Democrats that was, we were shortchanging schools. And that's not even keeping up with inflation. I think we made our points, we got in and got out. And we didn't feel the need to belabor the points, but at the same time, we recognize that you cannot keep up with inflation with 2%. So obviously the concerns that we had were that we were shortchanging schools and that after nearly a decade of doing that, a lot of schools are gonna close because of this, and a lot of schools are gonna be, having to raise property taxes just to cover the amount that they lose.
Leader Meyer, related to that, you mentioned last May when you were elected leader that the House Democrats were likely to be a little more aggressive, maybe offer more amendments. And so far, I know it's early in the floor debate, but we haven't seen a lot of amendments. I think only one Democrat spoke on the DEI private colleges bill. Is that a strategy as a caucus that you're gonna try to keep these remarks during debates shorter, or do you expect to have more members speaking on some of the controversial bills going forward?
Well, I wouldn't say there's look, here's what we're focusing on as Iowa House Democrats. We are focusing on how do we make Iowa the best in the nation's schools, right? How do we make life more affordable? I pointed it out yesterday on one of their social bills that they're trying to pass. That is, they are focused on things that most Iowans just simply are not worried about at this point. We are losing jobs. Life's become almost unaffordable for a lot of people. And we are going to be focused as Iowa House Democrats on affordability and lowering costs. And what I said last fall was, or when I became leader in May, was we are going to hold them accountable. What I was trying to say was we are going to hold them accountable. Whatever that looks like moving forward, you're going to see more things like what Representative Cooley is going to be doing next week, is proposing the opportunity for them to do the right thing. And so, how do we lower costs? How do we make Iowa the best in education? And how do we make our water clean and make Iowa the best place to live and raise a family? Those are the things that we as Iowa House Democrats are focused on, and they seem to be focused on other things.
Leader Weiner, the animal torture bill was scheduled to be voted on the Senate floor today, but it wasn't. Do you have any insight as to why?
You'd have to ask my Republican colleagues, but that has been a pattern for the last couple of years. There's concern, I believe, on the part of farmers that it may have to do, this is a bill, let me be clear, that is really only focused on domestic animals, on the abuse of domestic animals. Senator Donahue did a point of personal privilege after the debate on what she would have said. And I had some veterinarians in my office earlier this week explaining they need to be able to tell people when they see instances of animal torture, because not only does that impact the animals, but often it's a sign that there is something else going on in the household, that maybe a kid is being abused or a woman is being abused. It's a sign that they need to be able to report, and I'm deeply disappointed that this did not move forward today.
And then do you also have a reaction to the firearm accessory bill that was advanced today on the floor?
This has been in law since 1990. It was part of a compromise that was legislated then. It's hard for me to imagine that any hunter or anyone needs a $50 accessory that can be put on a gun, on an AR-15 and turn it into a Gatling gun.
A Senate subcommittee discussed property tax bill yesterday, and part of that bill would make county auditors, county treasurers, county reporters be appointed, not elected. What are your thoughts on that? A lot of county reporters spoke yesterday about how they're worried about, the issues that could come from that.
I believe that's a portion of the governor's bill, that there was a lengthy subcommittee on that yesterday, and I know that the Senate property tax bill is going to have a subcommittee this coming Tuesday. This seems in many ways to me to be a distraction. The work still has to be done. We need to be focused on how communities are going to get by, how we end up giving the Iowans who really needed a break while still allowing communities to function and pay their fire and police and all the rest of that. This sounds to me more in the vein of what we've seen in recent years of consolidation in the executive. I don't believe we need more of that.
Yeah, also at that subcommittee yesterday, Senator Dawson aired some frustrations around, people lobbying to protect TIF. Is that language in that bill a non-starter for your caucus, or how do how does your caucus feel about
We,
that?
I mean, we debriefed this morning on that subcommittee. We don't have a caucus position yet. I mean, TIF has clearly been a really important tool for Iowa communities, large and small, for economic development purposes. I expect we'll end up seeing some guardrails on it. I just don't know what those are gonna look like at this point.
Do any of you have an issue with the governor's use of the state plane or how it was paid for?
I traveled the state this year.
Mike, would you please?
Yeah. Representative Bagneski and I traveled the state, and we used this as a graphic showing that we are in a fiscal death spiral. So I now changed the airplane's name to the Reynolds Express. It is outrageous that she is using that airplane for political purposes. And again, we will be offering the opportunity for the Republicans to do the right thing, to get rid of the airplane, and we will have a proposal to use that money that, after we get rid of that airplane, use the money from the sale to boost up unemployment benefits for people that have their jobs shipped overseas.
Following up on that, the Republicans might claim that that wasn't from the general fund, that was a federal pandemic relief expenditure, so that it didn't actually contribute to the state's budget issues. So how would you respond to that?
It's all tax dollars. It's better used to help pay for the unemployment benefits of people that have their jobs shipped overseas. Is everybody done getting pictures of this?
Whatever the dollars were and however they were spent, we could all imagine a whole host of things on which they could be better spent. Whether it's plussing up unemployment, how about a little bit more money to our schools, how about feeding our kids in schools?
Do either of you think the 25 million that was misallocated by the judicial branch, is that something that should have been caught during the budget subcommittee process? I mean, it seems to be that something that budget subs in the past would have noticed that there was missing money, but I don't know, just maybe your thoughts would be the one.
I don't know, it'd be great if we had budget subcommittees in the Senate. That would be a wonderful improvement, so that we could actually talk to, if we went back to the practice of joint budget subcommittees, so we could actually talk to department heads so that we could do it with our colleagues in the House. I can't tell you if it would have been caught then, but I think a really good budgeting process is something that's desperately needed under the Golden Dome here.
Well, I'll say this, Jack. I said it might be helpful if they had an oversight committee once in a while. You know? So that's kind of their job, right?
Right.
So maybe not in a budget sub, but maybe actually use the oversight committee to oversee government.
Yeah, I'm sure you're all aware of the Senator Bizignano interviews and getting up on the floor and really highlighting the failure of oversight on the Senate side over child abuse.
Leader Weiner, yesterday the Senate took multiple votes on legislation using SAVE to verify citizenship and immigration status for different things like driver's license, voter registration, and other things. Some were passed unanimously, and some members of your caucus expressed concern about the SAVE and the credibility of it. So I'm curious what your stance is on using SAVE for all these verifications for different things.
But the united stance of our caucus is that U.S. citizens of the state of Iowa who are U.S. citizens who are eligible to vote should be able to vote. Those who are registered should be able to vote without jumping through additional hoops. They have all signed an oath under penalty of perjury that they are who they claim they are. Our concern, as some of my colleagues expressed on the floor, is that there are issues with databases such as SAVE, and there may be other databases, and we want to make sure that people are not disenfranchised who otherwise have the right to vote, are not disenfranchised, and that we don't have a chilling effect so that people don't want to go exercise their franchise.
Any more questions?
Thanks, Rose.